Let's talk about the 4 horsemen of relationships. This is a teaching that I absolutely love. It really opened my eyes to a lot of the negative things that I was bringing into all my relationships. And I want to share it with you too. I think it will really help. So we know from Scripture in the end times, when the end of the world is near, these 4 horsemen of the apocalypse will be riding in from all 4 directions. Famine, war, death, poverty, just everything bad, pestilence. So Dr. John Gottman, who is a Jewish family therapist who's worked with couples for decades, he and his team have been able to predict within 94% accuracy if a marriage or a relationship the end is near, if these 4 horsemen, these 4 things in their relationship are present. And they are criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, and contempt. And I want to go over some of these. You'll be shocked and surprised and probably ashamed. Maybe you have to get to confession, but maybe excited in the end like I was to really be able to improve all your relationships the way God wants it. So let's take a look at the 4 horsemen. They're really responses to fear, responses to trauma. They're natural. We don't even think about it. So the first 2 have a unique relationship, and I am so guilty of this most of my life. The first one is criticism. Now, we all know when somebody criticizes us. We know when we criticize other people, and sometimes we think it's necessary. But if you've lived with a lot of criticism in your life or fallen into the habit of being too critical, you recognize that you can be set up to hear criticism even when it's not there. So let's say you walk into the room and the person you are dating picks you up and says, "Oh, nice dress." You may take it at face value. Or maybe if your mother or your friends or your previous husband or boyfriend constantly criticize you, you could go and you're, interiorly going, "Does he really think it's nice? I wonder if it's nice. It might be a criticism in there." So then you automatically go to defensiveness, which is, "Well, I hope you like it. I picked my best dress for tonight," and you start explaining. You're all kind of tap dancing. You don't need to do that. There's usually no criticism. Maybe there is, but when there's not, you just say, "Thank you." That's all you got to say. I remember I got into the habit of always explaining, defending, and testifying for myself, just in case there was any criticism hidden or coming at me. Here's the problem with criticism. It sets the other person up to immediately go into defensive mode. And when you're in defensive mode, you're not thinking about the other person, seeing the other person, or really hearing the other person. You're protecting yourself. So I remember one time at a restaurant, I had ordered special bread that wasn't on the menu. I knew they served it at nighttime, so I asked the waitress, "Oh, could I please get some of that focaccia bread?" And she said, "Well, I'll see if it's there." So I didn't know, she went through a lot of trouble to go find that bread for me and put it at the table. But I was busy talking with my friends, and I never did eat the bread. So at the end of the meal, she stood over me, and when she brought the ticket, she goes, "Well, I see you didn't eat your bread." Now, what she said to me sounded like a criticism, and I immediately looked up and tried to defend myself. "Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. Blah, 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 blah." Well, what she was really trying to say was, "I went through a lot of trouble to get you that bread. I've had a rough day, and normally I don't go through this much extra effort, but for you I did for some reason, and look, what did I get for it?" So I should have, instead of defending myself, I should have leaned into her and said, "Thank you. I realize that you went through an extra effort for me, and I didn't even eat the bread. I just want to let you know, I really appreciate it. I don't apologize. I don't, get down on my hands and knees and beg for forgiveness. I don't even think about myself and why I didn't eat the bread. I lean into her and see what she was really saying. This is a habit, the habit of criticism and then defensiveness in this dance we do. It takes years to develop. I think if you're honest, everybody falls into this at some time or another. And it takes a while to come out of it. But when you start hearing it, you can make a quick choice to respond a different way. So when the person who's criticizing says, I don't like what you did, or I wish you would have done something different, instead of defending ourselves, we need to acknowledge that we hear them. You know what? I hear you. You don't like it when I do this. You didn't like it when that happened. I hear you, and I get it. That's immediately going to bring any tension down, the level of tension down, because now you said, I see you, and I hear you, and I understand you, and I want to. And then part 2 is, what would you like me to do? Or what can I do next time? Again, you're not defending yourself. That can come later when the tension is down and the other person has heard, I see you, I hear you, I understand you, and I care about what you just said to me. Later you can say, I always want you to bring up the things that are not making you happy, but I really need you to say it in a kind and calm way. You were pretty nasty when you said that. And yeah, I just appreciate that. And, and by the way, the reason I did that was blah, blah, blah. So you can you can set your boundaries and you can give your explanations, but do it at a later time. First, let them know, I hear you. What is it you want? I'll never forget one time we were getting ready to go to a party. And I came out in what I thought was a beautiful dress. And my husband said, you're going to wear that to the party tonight? Now, what did I hear? I heard, you're fat, you're ugly, I hate you. I'm exaggerating, but we can go there in our minds. And I started to defend myself. Well, what's wrong with this dress? And so I pushed back. All that did was make him even more angry because I wasn't listening to him. So I learned the next time to say this, oh, what is it that you don't like? Be honest with me. Well, and he didn't want to say, and I said, do I look fat or dumpy or old? Or he goes, no, I don't like that color on you. Now you see, it went from criticism, thinly veiled criticism, to him coming down now and communicating more. I go, okay, I'd be happy to change, but I don't have anything else that's clean right now. But next time I will wear the colors that you like. And he was happy. And a lot of the times he's not that critical, what I'm wearing. But those instances, it's also usually not always about you or the color of your dress. It could be he had a hard day at work or she had a hard day with the kids. And it's coming out, I don't get anything I want in life, and so now you walk in the room and they don't like the dress and you get all that energy. You get all that built up stuff. So it's real important to begin to understand why we are saying the things that we're saying and how we can say them and understand them better. So criticism and defensiveness are the two of the 4 horsemen, and they usually go together. Somebody criticizes, the other one defends. Neither one is listening to the other. So that's the key. Stop and say, what's going on? How can I help? What do you need from me? Lean into the other person. Lean into the other person instead of defending yourself. The next one is stonewalling. Now, we've heard about, gaslighting and ghosting, and these are all ways of running away from a traumatic or overwhelming situation. These are all forms of control. So stonewalling is when you don't feel that you have any power, you don't have any influence, you're about to melt down, you're about to rip somebody's head off, and so you got to run away. And I remember when my husband and I were trying to do some of this work, and I was feeling, overwhelmed, and I realized I needed to get out of the room before I said something I would deeply regret and have to go to confession for. So I said, you know what? I can't talk anymore. I'm just going to go in the other room and I'll be back later. Oh, run away. Why don't you? Great, right? That was contempt. So I stonewalled in that regard. I was really setting a boundary. He thought I was stonewalling him and running away. And so he threw out the contemptuous remark to try to get the power back and to get me back. Again, forms of control. But all it did was hurt me. And then he felt bad too, because he heard it come out of his mouth. So there are times in a relationship where you are overwhelmed, you're exhausted, and you're flooded. You can't function. You have to escape and go, what Dr. Gottman says, go self-soothe for a little bit. Go to a quiet place. Get a cold drink of water. Take a walk. Take a breath. Go check your emails for a few minutes. But don't leave without telling them, I have to go take a break, but I'll be back. Because that lets the person know, I see you, hear you, and I want to be in relationship with you, but I can't do it right now, but I will come back because I care. So I'll be back. Let's talk after dinner. Let's talk tomorrow at breakfast. Whatever it is, let them know sometime that you're going to return. So the last one is the worst one. This makes me weep of how deeply embedded in our culture contempt is. It's in our sitcoms and TV. When I look back, it's been there for 40 years. We ridicule men. We ridicule women. Children talk with great disrespect and arrogance to their parents, and we all laugh. The laugh track comes on. And so let me explain contempt to you. Contempt isn't just sneering. It's like, really? It's over exaggerated, snotty, arrogant. You're that stupid. You're that dumb. You're going to do that to me. It's eye rolling, tongue clicking, mocking, in their voice, a sing-song voice, or imitating them in a mocking way. It's name calling. You're insane. Your whole family's insane. It's name calling. It's derogatory. It's disrespect. It's I don't want to and I don't have to. It's nee. Those are forms of disregard of the dignity and the goodness of the other person, no matter the relationship. We have to stop it, and we have to stop making it funny. Please, I've talked about this before. Do not let your children or anybody else speak to you with disrespect, dishonor, and contempt. Don't let it go. It's not funny. Even though they didn't do anything wrong, they have a really bad and sinful and self-centered and hurtful attitude that needs to be checked, needs to be called out, and need to help them grow past that and away from that. So there's so much more that could be said. Let me refresh these. This is not just in all your relationships, but particularly as singles who are looking for healthy, holy, loving relationships. Look for people who are overly critical about every little thing. Or maybe it's you. Look for people who are always hearing criticism when it's not even there and defending themselves all the time. That means when you're in a relationship with them, if you do get married, you're either always going to be criticized, or you're always going to be on the defense or back and forth. So it doesn't matter how good looking they are, how much money they have. Look for these 4 horsemen of the relationship. Learn how to exit a heated or overwhelming situation gracefully and dignified in a dignified way without ghosting them or cutting them off as a form of control. And last but not least, look for the areas where you laugh or minimize or dismiss contempt. Don't do that. You are sucking in poison in the relationship. So, big topic, short video, but hopefully that will pique your interest. And I love my life coaching and my relationship coaching with people. I love to help them see this and work through it in all their relationships. And Catholic Match and I are always here to help you find your one true love and keep that one true love. God bless you.